Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our 2016 Valedictorian, Mr. Matthew Burt.
Good afternoon, fellow graduates of the class of 2016. Congratulations. Let us take a moment to recognize a few highly influential parties that made this graduation possible. To all of the parents, family, and friends that join us today, the deepest of gratitude for having led us through the arduous journey of schooling that every one of us has now undertaken. Specifically to my own parents, thank you for always being the best example of how I should live and yearn for knowledge. Let us also recognize the significant work of the Phoebus High School administration, teachers, and the staff. Please join me in applause for them. In my address to you today, I don't want to stand up here by this podium, take all of your time, and then leave you with nothing to contemplate. So in the interest of specificity, I want you to ponder something profound and not just yawn at the words of another schoolmate, one that you won't presumably see again for a lengthy period of time. But when you leave here today, I want something serious to be rolling around in your mind. So let me begin by saying that each and every one of you deserves a standing ovation. I know as well as you the exhausting frustration. Every other week I could have used a vacation, so you most of all should understand my fixation on the marvel of our endurance. 4 years have flown by, and whether or not you think that it's taken too much of our time, this day of graduation has finally arrived. It was always approaching, drawing near, unmoved by our notions of joking and hoping, but now my inquiry for you is quite simple. In all the commotion and growing devotion to our seniority, were you blindsided? Or more specifically, did the realization of this culmination hit you like the Mack truck illustration? But hold on for a second, because really, how could it not? Who can say that while we were living life as high school big shots, we gave any more than an afterthought to this day that we all supposedly had sought for so long? I mean, our entire high school career might have been spent gazing towards the future, whether as a senior or as a junior, but what could be truer than this? That we spent too much valuable time looking at what was accomplished prior than towards the inevitable schedule which needed no aid to transpire. What I am attempting to relate here is that our high school experience was more than just a time for learning formulas and learning definitions. It was measured in more than the condition of your report card composition. It was the magnitude of gratitude that we possessed for an ambition, the degree to which we lived for the moment, the token of our proponents, and the condolence for all opponents. It was the innumerable late nights, studying the Bill of Rights, or using a TI-84 calculation device with which we fought because we couldn't find the answer we sought despite how well the teacher had taught, and that was pretty well, might I add. The high school experience was something too valuable to have missed. You see, what was important was spending time with the people on the same class list, to not just coexist, but truly understand each other. Because the relationships that you have made to this point are a representation of the ones that you will come to make going forward, towards the corners of this ending chapter and all the borders of the earth, because that is the only limit to the Phoebus Phantom greatness that we possess. A greatness with no shape. It's indefinite in nature, never in danger of failure because we find favor with strangers as a result of our behavior. And even though we're just teenagers, our lives are nevertheless significant. They always have been, and they always will be. You see, there's no referee, but we are in some ways defined by our choices. The voices of a rising generation attending this graduation in anticipation, and we're not joyless because we know we've just barely lived to this point. And what I'm accentuating is a statement of your youth and unavoidable authority in the years to come. And that is what we look forward to. It's an incredible opportunity, yet an enormous responsibility. The tutorial chapter of our lives is closing, and it's up to us to make the most of this privilege. The gift we've been given, the freedom of living, and the duty as a citizen, it's a lot to take in, but it is edifying in the end. And that is what we strive for, right? I see the point of living life, but if you just outright ignore insight, live with spite, or spend every night in starlight, then you forget that there are more colors than just black and white. You see, your only birthright is your life, and how it turns out depends upon what you choose to do with it. So consider this your last few moments where your choices have no lasting outcomes. Now that high school is over, you leave the enclosure of home, and with that comes the exposure of adulthood. Now your decisions hold significance, and with them a consequence, perhaps favorable through cognizance or poor through incompetence, but it's always prominent. So my advice to you is this: exercise discernment and put wisdom into practice. Don't be distracted by the malice of madness or the attractiveness of status, but be willing to stand for what you believe. Don't ever be willing to compromise or believe a lie, because it will paralyze and jeopardize the aspect of you that is customized. Because if you can't be who you were created to be, then who else is there to be? You see, we all have the capacity to live respectably, so that our legacy of integrity and transparency gives rise to jealousy and then a posterity that lives exceptionally as a result of the mark that we made on the world and in history. And that is what truly sets us apart. To lead from both the mind and from the heart, and to be the start of a trend where people make good decisions and live selflessly for a greater purpose. Because maturity is defined by the ability to live determined and in earnest, and trust me, it is worth it. So what I am asking of you today is to leave this place and make a lasting difference through peacefulness and through leadership. Don't compromise. Maintain a work ethic and put the needs of others before your own, because you will always reap the rewards of a seed that you have sown. And never have we faced a trial truly alone, because he who in his seeds has shown that our endeavor will forever be known by the pressure of being measured and the effort together, gathering treasures whenever, wherever we go. Thank you and congratulations once again.
We will now have our school board vice chairman, Mr. Dave Pearson, present Matthew with the Valedictorian Medal.